Greetings and salutations, Internet distance. It is I, Wolfphototech, and here we are with another delightful video. This time it's a video of me going through the original Star Frontiers from TSR Games. This is the Alpha Dawn box. You have a image of what's included in the box on the back, as well as information on that. It's actually a fairly thin box. This should probably classify as a starter set. But this is standard for TSR back in the day, with the exception of like Dungeons and Dragons, or so I should say Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of their game systems were in boxes with spine-mounted books. This box has been patched. It reminds you. There's a little box in the corner that says "From the producers of Dungeons and Dragons." When you open up the box, it's just a really simple box overall. There's no special artwork on the edges or anything like that. It's pretty to the point. Beautiful purple tone. This is the basic game rules book. It happens to have a character sheet on the back side for you to copy out. Boop. There's a single page. A lot of old TTRPGs and OSR games are typically going to be one player character sheet. They're actually rather simple. They're actually very rules light compared to modern TTRPGs. Modern Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, which people consider to be a rules light system, is actually not a rules light system. It's actually a moderate to moderately heavy rule system. There's only a few other TTRPGs from back in the day and now that are heavier in rules than Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It's kind of weird. People think that the OSR scene is really rules heavy, and old TTRPGs are really rules heavy, when in fact it actually is more of an era of rulings, not rules. But in the case of old TTRPGs, the rules are not even rules. They're guidelines or basic framework structures to build off of and understand the core logic of the system, of the game system in the world. And another thing you'll often come across in older TTRPGs is that there's a little history section right here, and then there's the table of contents, and there's some artwork. The inside of the cover is used on old TTRPG books, and it's pretty concise and to the point for the most part, with the exception of a few TTRPGs. Weirdly enough, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons is one of those few exceptions where TSR has kind of gone on fairly deep with some concepts. But even then, compared, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition is actually a fairly rules light system compared to even Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. The books just happen to come with a lot of options built into them that get you in many different places. There's a nice little overall introduction right here. As I said before, it's pretty to the point. It doesn't waste too much time. Probably the only thing I can say that's bad about old TTRPGs is a lot of stuff, a lot of times, is expedited pretty quickly, which is actually probably the most annoying thing about the original Dungeons and Dragons. It assumes you understand war games by default, and it kind of just shoots through. It'll sometimes tell you how many dice you need, and in these various old systems, and it doesn't tell you the type of dice. The default is usually a D6. So there you go. From the introduction to the character creation, it goes through the various steps of creating a character, the races, and such. And it's pretty to the point. Like, it gives you a quick overview of what your character sheet would look like when you're working on it on the back side. It gives you map and playing pieces information, game turns, explanation of game turn sequences, initiative, movement, the monorail, and so forth. It gives you tactical advice in various situations. Gives you an overview of how you can sight or target enemies. It gives you a quick overview of the weapons in the system. The little game pieces we're going to see in a quick moment. The various weapons and the concept of cover and vehicles and damage and so forth. It doesn't spend a whole lot of time dumping a lot of lore at you. It pretty much gives you information you absolutely positively need right now if you're trying to look up something to play, and gives you a good demonstration of the items overall that you see in the game or will be using in the game or so forth. It gives you prices for those items here for the characters and so forth. And then from there, this is a mind blower. This is like, how many pages did I say this was? This is about 17 pages. From here, you get the how to play, how to win, setup, and so forth. And from here on is the Game Master stuff. Right around page 10, it goes from player to Game Master. Overall, you get creatures in the back, and so forth. And the system of rewards. And that's actually, as I said before, it's a fairly thin book. It's fairly to the point. Then here's the expanded rules book that comes with it. This is the add-on that's built into the Alphadon box. At one point in time, these two books were sold separately in two different sets. And fairly quickly, TSR combined them into the Alphadon box. But anyways, is the Alphadon expanded game rules quickly jumps you through a whole bunch of other stuff. There's the introduction, the table of contents, the introduction. In the case of the Alphadon, the expanded rules section, each one of the sections is a little bit bigger than before, with a lot more details. It goes into the various races and the history of those characters. Senses, speech, society, customs, attitudes, special abilities, and so forth. Then it explains skills and so forth. And kind of even overall, compared to modern TTRPGs, old school games pretty much move along in their explanations. They don't spend a whole lot of time in putting artsy-fartsy words into things. Skip a few pages here and there, because I'm not going to show you the entire book. Land out right there. And on the back side, you happen to have an index for all the stuff in this book. Included in this box, there is the starter adventure, SF0 Crash on Volturnus, which is only about 30 pages. It has punch holes in it for when your game master wants to put it in a binder with all your other adventures for Star Frontiers. It's actually kind of neat. They actually pressed in a emblem there. I'm not going to go through the entire book. It gives you the quick rundown of lore on the area. And it explains a bunch of measurements and other fun stuff, as well as map keys and everything. There's various maps inside this module. Actually, the maps are right there. But there's a grid right here. Not a grid, but actually a mini hex map inside the module. And I'm going to just set that down now. Right here, there's a bunch of these little pieces. These are different creatures, objectives, machines, characters, obstacles for your characters to get past. There should be 286 of these, as far as I know. However, I have not counted these. They actually seem to be solid cardboard pieces. I'm going to pull one out and show it closer. This is Police. And if I turn it, this is 4K video, so you can actually see that it's actually a fairly thick piece overall. So it's actually meant to hold up to gamey play. Yes. And then we happen to have a map. It's all a grid map. Each one of these pieces fits inside of each one of these sections of the grid. We actually get 2 fold-out maps. You actually get this one, which has a second copy of Volturnus. But anyways, you happen to have this map, which is the little grid map for here, and then you have a hex map for it. I got 2 copies of Crash on Volturnus. This one does not have punches in it. This happened once before when I did the screen. But anyways, you got that small map, and then you got this big map that folds up. This is actually fairly nice map paper overall. You got the big map on this side, as you can see, and then on the back side you got mini maps for different scenarios. And that's actually pretty cool. I do say, from the quick look over of this box and this system, it's actually rather fascinating. The problem is, I would love to get some people to play through this to really get the experience. But from my personal experience, dealing with all the groups I'm a part of, I can't really get a whole lot of people to want to play a sci-fi TTRPG. So this is going to be one of those things that sits on my shelf until one of my players gets sick of fantasy, or a bunch of my players get sick of fantasy and decide they really want to try something out different. So there you go. This is Forbidden. This is the Forbidden Lands box. It's any winner from Free League Publishing. But anyways, I'm not gonna give this a score, but I kind of have a feeling that this is, if I study through this and run it and play it, there is solidly everything here that anyone would want. The only note of the things that are missing is it's missing the 2d10s, and it's missing the crayon from the box. But that's about it. That's the only thing that this version is this box is missing, is the 2 dice and the crayon, or technically colored pencil. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful week, and a magnificent month, and see you next time.